Hello, my name is Ryan Chapman. I'm from Southern New Hampshire University. I'm part of the Career Services team. I'm actually doing a series of interviews with employers who are working in the field of communications. And the person I'm speaking with today is Alex Finkel from Bustle Digital Group, and her job title is Editorial Operations Director. And Alex, thank you for taking the time to talk to me and answering my questions, and we'll go ahead and get started.
Sounds great. Really happy to be here.
All right, thank you. So my first question for you is, so give us a little bit, tell me a little bit more about yourself and what you do and kind of the work you do and the company you work for.
Absolutely. So I am the Editorial Operations Director at Bustle Digital Group, and that really, I bet to a lot of you, means a whole lot of nothing. But my background is originally in journalism. I went to school and thought I was going to be an editor or writer, and then worked at a pretty traditional publishing company right outside of college, at Condé Nast, and then fell into working in a startup. That's Bustle, as it was known back then. I've been a part of the company for 6 years, and in the 6 years since we launched, we were originally just a one women's lifestyle news and entertainment website. And since then, we've grown to a collection of sites. We actually own and operate 8 different websites. And we reach about 80 million readers every month. We have about 300 full-time employees who work mostly out of our office here in New York, but we have a lot of remote opportunities as well. My job in particular is really a lot about recruiting, managing our internship and fellowship program, working with other partners, whether it is other colleges or organizations that we really just want to see more applicants from.
Mhm.
And a lot of it's actually developmental too. I spend a lot of time talking to students, doing informational interviews, and kind of telling them how to kind of get into the media industry today.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Now, what is the most interesting aspect of your job, you would say?
Yeah, so the most interesting aspect is that every day is pretty much different. I really never know, when I'm starting the day, what I'm really going to be working on, whether that is anything from, hey, we're planning our whole summer internship program, so here's what we want to do. Right now we're planning, for example, for our summer internship program, a baseball game for all of our interns, which is really fun. And what hiring we're going to be doing, right? I used to just hire on the editorial side, and now I help with recruiting and hiring across the whole company, which is definitely a challenge because I don't have a background in engineering or graphic design, and it's something that I've had to kind of learn, how to look for those types of roles, when you don't have a background in it. So it's any of that. It's sometimes informational, sometimes kind of, I like to say that I like to solve problems. So when certain teams are faced with a challenge, I'm kind of brought in to be looking at things, I think, from kind of outside of their little bubble and being here's how we can fix it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So what can a student do to be successful in the field, or especially in the field of media you'd advise?
Absolutely. So I think the first thing is really thinking about within media itself, what are you passionate about? Is it writing? Is it editing? And the other thing is that today, being in media doesn't just mean that one thing. So back when I went to college and I wanted to be a writer and editor, I thought that was all I was going to do. Turns out, though, that communication and media industry today looks very different. And it really could mean a variety of things, whether that's social media, public relations, marketing even. And so I think that it's really important to have kind of be open to a wide variety of different types of jobs, and different kinds of companies too. It doesn't always mean that the best company for you is going to be the one that's the most well-known.
Mm-hmm.
I got my start at a startup, and it was awesome. I got so much opportunity to learn, and I'm really grateful for that experience. And I was really just open to that because I was like, hey, I don't have anything to lose. And I really am a big believer of taking that risk, because when you're early on in your career, especially in media and communications, there's really just so much to learn. So that's sort of my biggest advice, I think, is be open to the type of company and be open to the type of job, because, I think that these days with digital and with social media, things really look a lot different than what that expectation was originally.
Okay, great. Thanks so much. Now, what is Bustle looking for in potential candidates, and how important are writing samples and portfolios in regards to finding success in this field?
Yeah, absolutely. So we really do look for people who have some background in writing. and experience. So ideally somebody who has done some writing before, whether it is on their own time, maybe for their own blog, or in a professional capacity, or even for a school a campus publication. I would say we do look at a portfolio of writing samples and writing clips. However, it is not the most important thing. The most important thing, surprising as it may be, is actually a cover letter. We read all cover letters from all our applicants because we actually use it as a writing sample. Writing samples that are published are often edited, and maybe they're not exactly what you turned in. So we are more likely to kind of go with your raw writing of your cover letter. So my biggest advice always is spend some time on that cover letter. You want to make it personal. You want to make sure it's not just repeating your resume, and you want to make sure it's reflective of both the company and who you are and how those two things fit together. That's sort of my number one advice, is like spend time on that cover letter and really make sure that it shows who you are.
Awesome. I didn't know that. That's really interesting. Thanks for letting me know that. So what opportunities are available for our students at Bustle that are currently open?
Absolutely. So we often have part-time writing opportunities, and that's across all of the different websites that we own and across departments as well. So if you want to be a writer, reporter, or journalist, or even get into editing down the line, applying to one of our remote part-time writing opportunities is a great place to start. We look for, as I said, some writing experience, but not a ton. And as far as other roles, I think the other thing that we really look for is people who are familiar with the brand and kind of passionate about what we're doing. So, if you believe we're doing good work and you want to be part of that, we're going to usually try to figure out a way for you to kind of join us.
Okay, great. Thanks so much. Now, my final question for you is, what additional advice or pearls of wisdom could you give our student population in the field of communications?
Absolutely. So my number one piece of advice always is networking. Now, I know networking sucks. Everybody hates doing it. But, informational interviews, kind of what I mentioned earlier, how often I do them, is going to be really helpful for you. A lot of this industry is kind of like who you know, or just like a friend of a friend, or just like even hearing about opportunities. So it's really important that you kind of put yourself out there, make connections. And it also doesn't need to be only with like people who are doing your dream job or who are more senior than you. It actually can be laterally as well. So, making sure that you are connecting with, fellow students in similar positions as you, with professors, with former managers at your job, really anybody and everybody. You should have an up-to-date LinkedIn, and you should be, really ideally sharing things on there, using it regularly, and really showing that you're kind of out there looking for those opportunities and making connections. And the truth is that, it's really annoying to do networking, but it will pay off. And everybody was pretty much in your situation, when they were in school, and they're always willing to kind of help other people out if they can. As I said, I do these informationals weekly, and it's because I got them when I was in college, and it proved really helpful to me. There are people who I met, through connections that I'm still in touch with today. So that is sort of my number one piece of advice. Make sure you're networking, make sure you're making those connections, and really also staying in touch with people that you do that too as well.
Okay, great. Thanks so much. Well, I wanted you to thank again for taking the time to speak with me and doing this quick interview for our communication students. The information was amazing and really appreciate it. And we hope we can work with our students in the future. Okay?
Absolutely. So great. If anyone's interested, please go to bustle.com/jobs, and you'll see all of our opportunities there.